All right, now let's get back to the story, story of the state of the states and the $1 trillion gap between what they have on hand to pay for retiree benefits and what they owe. Joining us now is Susan Urahn, the managing director of the Pew Center on the States, which released today its report on this budget gap. And Susan, we're talking about $1 trillion here. The first thing I wonder is this centered in certain states? I mean, you think about California, the problems there, or New York, the problems here. Are there certain states that bear the main brunt of this deficit?
Well, the problems are fairly widespread. Our report found that there were 19 states for which we had serious concerns, and another 15 that really needed to sort of move some improvement in this area. But by and large, that $1 trillion gap indicates that we have a fairly significant national problem here.
Significant, Susan, but let me ask you, is it manageable in your view?
It's manageable if states take action now. I think what we have is a problem that's solvable if states take steps now to really get this thing under control. If they wait, we will have an unmanageable crisis on our hands.
So what are the steps that you think they need to take to actually do this? I mean, let's point out that they can't run deficits, right? They've got to balance their budgets.
That's absolutely right. I think that, one of the steps that states can take is to make sure that they have fiscal discipline, that they are regularly paying the annual costs for their pensions. If they don't, it can cause some serious problems. I mean, take a look at two states, New York and New Jersey. Back in 2002, New York and New Jersey had fully funded pension funds. New York made its annual payment year after year. New Jersey didn't. So in 2008, New Jersey's payment was $1 billion more than New York's, even though their total liability was $15 billion less. Financial discipline is a critical part of managing this problem.
Susan, how did we get to this point? I mean, it wasn't just in this last year, the financial crisis, was it?
No, the current recession certainly was a factor in contributing to this gap. But over the last decade, states have not made their full pension payments in good times and in bad. And in fact, our estimate is a conservative one. It looks at fiscal 2008 data, so we only catch the first half of the impact of the recession. When next year's numbers come out, it's likely to be an even bigger problem.
What do they actually do when they can't make full pension payments? I mean, do they issue IOUs? Do they say that your payment's going to be deferred until next year? What happens?
Well, states that defer payments will find that their payment the following year is bigger, and so on and so on. It's just like a credit card. If you don't make your monthly payment, next month's payment is bigger, and the bill doesn't go away. That's exactly the same situation that states are in when it comes to their pensions and post-retirement benefits.
All right, so let's get to a solution. I mean, what do you think at this point states can and do? It's still a fragile economic environment, no doubt about that. Some states are in a tougher situation. So how do we fix this in your view?
Well, the two things, again, they need the fiscal discipline to make those annual payments, because if they don't, that bill just gets bigger year after year. The other thing they can do is take a look at their total liabilities. And really, again, modest reforms here can have a significant long-term impact. Take a look at Minnesota. Back in the late 1980s, they raised the retirement age 1 year for their new employees. Today, 70% of their workforce is covered under that policy, and over the last 2 decades, they saved over $600 million. Okay. Small steps today, big long-term impact.
All right, we're going to leave it on that note. Susan, thanks so much. Susan Urahn, the managing director of the Pew Center on the State.